should find role models and follow them, but don't forget to find yourself. Because sometimes what happens is we find and identify inspirational people in this life, and what we try to do is we try to imitate their life. We try to become a copy of someone else. But actually, each one of us are individual. Each one of us are unique. Each one of us have been endowed with our own abilities and qualities. So what we'll do just before we begin is I'll just say a few prayers, because when we have any kind of discussion, especially where it involves some level of spiritual knowledge, then what we try to do is open up our hearts, our consciousness, turn up the volume. And it just helps us to put us in the right frame of mind. So I'll just say some prayers, and they're prayers in Sanskrit. Some of you may be familiar, some of you not. That's totally okay. You can just use these moments to try and really become present in the room. I'm sure you've had a heavy day. It is Monday morning after all. And just use this time to try and disconnect yourself from all the worries, the thoughts, and just kind of be present here in the room. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karati Vachalam Yukam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we're talking about the 7 habits of successful spiritualists. I kind of took this away from Stephen Covey. Has anyone ever read this book? And as some of you may have read this book, Stephen R. Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Maybe this is a little loud. You're getting some feedback, right? It's not? It's okay? Yeah. Does it sound okay for you? Yeah. It's good, okay. All right, sure. So 7 habits of highly effective people. And today we're going to spiritualize it more. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Stephen Covey did also make a trip to the Himalayas. And he kind of had a little bit of a transformation, a bit of a movement of his heart. And Stephen R. Covey became Stephen R. Yogi. And he wrote another book, a sequel to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Spiritualists. That is a joke, by the way. Don't put it on Instagram or social media. It will turn out to be misinformation. But what we're going to try and do today is share with you the 7 habits of highly effective spiritual people. Now, these habits will actually not just help you in your spiritual endeavor, but I'm convinced from my experience that even in everything you're trying to achieve in this world, if you imbibe these qualities, you'll actually see an incredible potentiality awaken within you. But before I do that, I just want you to turn to the person next to you just for literally like 1 or 2 minutes. And I want you to tell them one quality which, if you felt you could develop within yourself, would transform your life in an amazing way. But the only catch is the quality has to start from the letter S. Is that okay? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. The quality that you'd really like to develop within yourself, but you have to think deeply because it has to begin with the letter S. Okay, go for it. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. All right. So kind of just get back. Thank you so much. Would anyone like to share some of their qualities? Don't be shy. We won't make it. So you can just put your hand up and say, anyone would like to begin? Yes.
Go with the ultimate one and start.
The ultimate one. Okay, everyone drum roll. Self-realization. Amazing. Yes. To know who you are, to know what's your purpose, to know your identity in the deepest way. When you have that kind of orientation, like we all need a North Star in our life that becomes like our guiding light. So self-realization. Thank you so much. Now everyone's like, oh my God, Artie, so you kind of blew the exercise there. That's good. That's good. No, but I'm sure there are others. Yeah, at the back.
Self-discipline.
Self-discipline. Okay, yes, discipline. I think it was Truman, the US president, who said, I studied the lives of all the great people and I saw with them that the first battle they won in their life was the battle over their own mind. He said, with each of them, self-discipline came first. If you can win the battle with your own mind and become self-disciplined, then amazing things can happen in your life. Excellent. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yes.
Serenity, synergy.
And now you need to think of a third one which ends with Y to really make it powerful. Spirituality. There you go. Yes, serenity. We need peace of mind. Sometimes our mind is so disempowering to us. How many of you feel like you have an inner critic? Isn't it? There's a voice within you like, no, you can't do it. Oh my God, that was terrible. Like, if I were in charge, I would have done it differently. We have an inner critic and some level of serenity, which just allows our mind to just calm down and just let us be without constantly blocking us. The greatest achievers in the world are able to quieten their own mind. Thank you so much. Very nice. Anyone else? These are great. We could just do this all evening.
Silence within ourselves.
Silence within. Can you say more what you mean by that?
I think that means the same as serenity.
Yeah.
Peace.
Just to have that peace within, that inner space to...
Without saying satisfaction within our prayers on mind.
Satisfaction. That's also a very important one. They say, the two biggest problems in life. Number one, we undervalue what we have. And number two, we overvalue what we don't have. And therefore, people are perpetually dissatisfied, ungrateful, not appreciative of where they are, and therefore constantly looking for something else. When maybe there is some perfection in the moment, there is some perfection in the now, but who has learned the art of becoming satisfied? That is also a great quality. Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone on this side? Yes.
Sensitive.
Sensitive. Amazing. You mean sensitivity in relationships or?
Yeah. To my surroundings.
Yes, wonderful. Yes, when we're sensitive to people around us, to situations around us, then we're able to act in a more progressive way. How many of you have said or done something inadvertently which has hurt someone? And then you think, oh no, I was so insensitive. Why wasn't I more conscious? It can really affect our lives. So yes, sensitivity. Thank you so much. That's a great one. We'll do one more. Anyone have a burning one that they would like to share? Yes.
Simplicity.
Simplicity. Okay. And can you say what you mean by that?
think simplicity in terms of lifestyle, simplicity in terms of your thoughts, not making it more complicated, not thinking about what other people would be thinking, or like how would someone else react if I behave in this way, or like just final.
Just being straightforward, being who you are, what you say, what you see is what you get, and having simplicity in lifestyle. Yes, nowadays our lifestyle is so complicated that sometimes it means we don't have energy left to focus on those things which count, isn't it? Nowadays, did you know people suffer from decision-making fatigue?
It really does.
Because you have to make so many small decisions about relatively irrelevant things, like what flavor ice cream is it, like, what am I going to wear today? All these small decisions. And then when it comes to the big decisions, like what's the goal of life? Anyway, whatever. Make sure you choose the right ice cream. So sometimes there's a concept in the world today called satisficing. I don't know if you've heard of this. But like Warren Buffett and the most successful CEOs, when they need to make really big business decisions, what they do is they go to a quiet place, they take like one change of clothes, and he says he takes cookies and milk with him. And for the whole weekend, he wears practically the same thing, he eats the same thing, and he just surrounds himself in nature. And his theory is that by simplifying his life in that way, it opens up the headspace for him to really think about, how to make $1 billion. Bigger things, in that sense. So yes, satisficing, simplicity, that's a beautiful quality. So yeah, actually all of you are getting this sense of what it takes to be successful in the world. Sometimes we think it's a lot about our abilities, but actually it's a lot about our attitude and our inner disposition. And today what I'll try to share with you is some of the things that I've witnessed. And when I try to share wisdom, and here I am, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but what I try to share with you is things that I've really seen in my life. I'm just not regurgitating some academic thing that I'm trying to share with you, but I've seen this, and I hope it will resonate with you, because I think these 7 habits are very powerful and can really transform your life. So, successful people, what is one of their mindsets that they have? I wish I had more time. How many of you feel like that? I wish I had more time. 24 hours in a day is not enough. Successful people, they have things to do. They plan. They know that there's so much amazing things to achieve in the world, and therefore they wish they had more time. But if successful people think, I wish I had more time, how do you think highly successful people think? Anyone want to have a guess? If successful people are constantly thinking like, I wish I had more time, what do you think is another kind of approach to life that could render one even more successful? Yes?
How do I maximize my time?
How do I maximize my time? Yeah, not wishing to... I have what I have, but how can I maximize it? Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yes?
And not waste time.
How do I not waste my time? That's also a great mindset. We always wish for more, but what are we wasting? Yeah?
So it might be the same as the first one, but I wish I had more quality time.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had more quality time, because sometimes we have time, but is not necessarily allowing us to do what we want to do in that space because it's not of a certain quality. Thank you. Very good. Okay, yeah, at the back.
I wish I want to make more time for things that are more important to me.
Okay, so I want to make more important time for things that are more important to me. Very nice. Yes, thank you. Okay, one last one at the back.
I wish innovation was he can hire more people so that he can make them worth what he
Okay. I wish I had more people who could do all the things in my life so I had more time. That's very good. Yeah, it sounds like we have a successor to Warren Buffett here. These are all true, and these are all very, very beautiful. And actually, all of what you said is incorporated. One of the mindsets that the sages say is that there'll never be enough time because life is so amazing. Life is full of so much opportunity that our desire to do things will always fill up the time. But what they say is there'll never be enough time. Therefore, you have to have enough drive. According to the sages of the East, the amount of time we have in our life is actually enough. But the question is, do we have the drive? Do we have the utilization? Do we have the ability to engage ourselves properly in that time in order to achieve what we want to achieve? One of the most shining characteristics of successful people in this world, if you find someone like this, you can understand there's a very good chance they're going to be successful. And that is, the most successful people in the world don't waste time. Every moment counts. And when you utilize your time, time is your most valuable asset. And when you utilize that time appropriately, what happens is that two things happen when you don't waste time. The first thing is you become more and more empowered to get more done in the time that you do have. So it's almost like you have the same amount of time, but because you're not wasting the time, you develop a certain type of focus which allows you to get what you want to get done within that time. And the second thing that will happen when you don't waste time is providence, divinity will open up windows of time that you never planned for because you are trying to actually utilize your time for something higher. What do you think are the top time wasters in the world today? Social media, yeah. And everyone was going to say that, and then we finally all just said it together. Social media, yes. So please, please, please think of ways in which you can regulate your usage of devices, your usage of technology, your interaction with social media, because that time could be time spent in something far more productive, far more powerful, and far more progressive for your life. What other ways do you think we waste time? Yes? Overthinking, procrastination. Sometimes you can't figure out the path in your mind. You just have to go out there and do things. And when you go out there and do things, then you learn in the lab of life. And therefore, don't constantly procrastinate, but just reflect and then take a decision. Did you know that not taking a decision is also a decision? Not taking a risk is also a risk. We have this notion that not doing anything is the safer option. That's a complete misunderstanding, because not doing something can be as, if not more, dangerous. Quality I want to share with you is that successful people keep a to-do list. I'm sure many of you have a to-do list. Nowadays, it's all on your smartphone, reminders, and Google Keep, what they call it, Keep Note or something. So you all, yes, you have to be organized. They say failing to plan means planning to fail. And therefore, if you want to be successful, you have to structure what tasks you're going to do, how you're going to navigate the day, how you're going to make sure you do the most important tasks and not just the urgent tasks. And in that way, you plan how your life is going to run in any particular day or week. But if successful people keep a to-do list, what do you think highly successful people do along with that? Any ideas?
Explain.
I'm not going to do all the work here. Some of you have to do it for me.
There are other timeline too.
They add timelines to it. So they have a to-do list, but they have timelines, there's deadlines. What do they call? SMART goals, right? They're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're, help me out, realistic, and they're time-bound. There you go. My God, I remembered that after 25 years ago. I learned that in my degree. Something stuck. So you have a realistic plan to do those things. Very good. Anything else? Yes.
A not to do list.
A not to do list. Great. Now we're thinking out the box. That's interesting. Don't just think about what you are going to do, but think about those things you should make sure you're not going to do because they're just going to divert you from the real task at hand. That's a good one. Thank you. By doing this, I also get ideas for my future presentations. So I will credit you for some of these things. Anyone else? Along with a to-do list, what should you have? Yes.
Priority list.
A priority list. So you order it. Okay. Very good. Anything else? I'll give you one more try. Yes.
A to-be list?
A to-be list. Thank you very much. Yes. Along with having a to-do list, in your life, also try to have a to-be list. When we joined the monastery, one of the things that we did very early on, which I actually found shocking, but was extremely powerful, was that one of the monks, what they did one day is they brought us into the room and they said, today we're going to do a guided meditation. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And they said, today we're going to do a guided meditation on your own funeral. And so in this guided meditation, what the individual did is he fast forwarded us in our life, in our mind's eye, and we went forward 20, 30, 40 years. We went forward to that moment where we died. And then what we did in our mind's eye was we visualized our own funeral. Who had come there, what the mood was, what people were saying to each other. And then at one point in the funeral, he told us, now the person who knows you best is going to come forward to give the eulogy of your life. So you have to picture, who would that be? Who's that person? And then they come forward to the podium. And then they begin to say, and I knew her. She grew up in Toronto. And then she studied and went to Toronto University. Then she graduated, and they tell you a life story. And then in the meditation, they say 3 things, and you have to finish the sentence. They say, and their greatest quality was ... And their greatest achievement in life was ... And they made a difference to the world by doing ... And you have to write down, how would you want them to finish those statements? And so we did that in the meditation. It was very powerful. And then after we came out of the meditation, we looked at our answers. And then we had to ask ourselves, what did I do in the last month? What did I do in the last year to become this person that I want to be remembered as? And it was very revealing, because we all realized that we had a to-do list, but we didn't have a to-be list. And you know what? People are not going to remember you for your achievements, but they are going to remember you for your character. They are going to remember you for the quality of your personality. They are going to remember you for how you touched them in your life and how you carried yourself in this world. We put so much emphasis on the visible parts of life, our percentages in an exam, our positions in a ranking, our power in society. But actually, people won't remember you for that. People will remember you for the quality of your character. And so highly successful people don't just focus on competence and achievement, but what they focus on is character. And the amazing thing is, if you focus on good character, if you focus on your to-be list, then your achievement will naturally flourish, because it all begins with the quality of your own being. And therefore, this is another lesson that you learn. Successful people find role models and follow them. I'm sure all of us in the room have role models, people we look up to, people who we find inspiring. Can I ask some of you, who do you find an inspirational person in this world, and what did you learn from them? Yes.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. You don't drive a Tesla, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Good. And what was it about Elon Musk, or what is it about Elon Musk that?
So I think he's giving his like everything of it. What his purpose is. He's like giving, I think, the whole day 24/7 dedicated to his words, and what's his purpose to give something to the world.
Very driven, and has a vision, and works hard for that. Yeah, definitely. So, anyone else? Who are your inspirational role models that you take guidance from, or anyone? Yes?
Mahatma Gandhi in terms of service.
Mahatma Gandhi in terms of service, because
Went to South Africa and he did a lot of service, especially cleanliness. He was known to clean toilets and do these things. So I have a lot of cleaning stuff to do at home. And
okay, right.
A lot of people the same with me. So I have to.
So you remember Mahatma Gandhi for that? Yeah, service. Like they say, we earn a living by what we get, but we earn a life by what we give to others. And so much of our life is about me. But then you meet someone who's just working for the people, serving the people, someone who has found something bigger than themselves and is dedicating themselves to that. That's inspiring. Thank you so much. Very nice. Anyone else? Yes.
The Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he is always connected to his roots and his traditions and our culture, as well as he's very selflessly contributing to the mankind.
Yes, so remembering your roots, your culture, where you came from, and making a contribution to make the world a better place. Thank you so much. And peace. Yes.
Balancing many things that my mother taught me. One is definitely tolerance, patience. So some days, I could imbibe a little bit.
Yes, tolerance and patience. These are hugely important qualities. And sometimes we're learning these things by the people closest to us, and sometimes they're the ones that we don't necessarily recognize as much as we should. Thank you so much. Yeah. So if successful people find role models and follow them, what do you think highly successful people do? Yes.
Trying to become role models and inspire.
Amazing. Yes. They try to become role models themselves and inspire people. They try to take those gifts that they received, embody them, and then share those gifts with others. Very nice. Yeah. Anything else? What do you think highly successful people do if successful people find role models? Is there more than that doing that?
Thanks to teachers and coach for the winter.
Okay, finding people not to follow. Yeah, identifying bad examples and ensuring we also learn from them. Very good. Specifically, what I wanted to share with you today is that we should find role models and follow them, but don't forget to find yourself. Because sometimes what happens is we find and identify inspirational people in this life, and what we try to do is we try to imitate their life. We try to become a copy of someone else. But actually, each one of us are individual. Each one of us are unique. Each one of us have been endowed with our own abilities and qualities. Einstein, he said, everyone is a genius. But if you convince a fish that it has to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's a failure. And so the world we live in is so much about comparison, so much about competition, so much about trying to keep up with the Joneses, that sometimes in the midst of looking around at everyone else, we try to copy everyone else. I give the example that imagine you go into an exam and you're sitting next to the most intelligent kid in the class and you think it must be God's arrangement because I didn't revise. And then what you do is you do the unspeakable and copy the answer paper of the most intelligent kid in the class who, by God's arrangement, is sitting right next to you. And you come out of the exam and you think, I aced it because I copied his exam paper, his question answer paper, amazing, perfect. But then you come out of the exam and you realize everyone had a different question paper. That was basically what most people do in their life. They try to copy someone else, and even if they do it perfectly, the worst type of success is when you achieve all of those goals, right, and then you realize they were someone else's goals and not yours. The worst type of success is when you achieve all the things you set out to achieve and then realize you had a different contribution to make to the world. So they say you're born an original, don't die a copy. And therefore in the world today, finding ourselves in Sanskrit, this is called dharma. Everyone has their own purpose. Everyone has their own calling. And in the Bhagavad-gita, which we'll talk about later on, an ancient spiritual book of wisdom, Krishna actually says, one verse he repeats twice. And in that verse he says, never try to do someone else's purpose. Do your own purpose, even if it's difficult, even if sometimes it feels like you're falling short. Because by following your own purpose, eventually you will be successful. So don't forget to find yourself. Everyone has something amazing to contribute in the world. Successful people go from IQ to EQ. You're all familiar with IQ, intelligence quotient. Most people think that the most successful people in the world are those who have the highest IQs, those who have an incredible ability and analytical agility. But later on, social scientists realized that if you don't have EQ, if you don't have the ability to control your own emotions, then you can have all the intelligence in the world, but it won't render you happy and successful and allow you to achieve your goals. Would you like to give me that meter? I'll just make it easier for you. Thank you so much. Because we see that, isn't it? Like if you become overcome by anger, then you lose your intelligence. Krishna says that actually in the Bhagavad-gita in a very beautiful verse. He says, Krodat bhavati sammoha, that when you become angry, you become deluded. And so in the world, they realize that it's not just about having IQ, but it's about having EQ, the ability to have good relationships with other people. The most successful people in the world have the best relationships. They have the best interactions because it's in that energy of emotionally connecting with others that you unlock your ultimate potential. And so successful people go from IQ to EQ, and highly successful people, you know what they do, right? They go from EQ to, oh, you don't know this? I'm sure you do, just being confident. EQ to SQ. Now in the world, social scientists realize that it's not just about having high IQ, and it's not even just about having high EQ, but the most successful people in the world also develop their spiritual quotient. And what does spiritual quotient mean? exactly what we started with. Who am I? Why am I here? Why does this world exist? What is the ultimate journey that I'm on? Beyond the material achievements of this world, what more may there be to life? All of these questions which lie within the spiritual realm to give one more vision, they give one a deeper why, they give one a deeper perspective of this life and this world. And therefore, highly successful people, it's not just that they have intelligence and balanced emotion, but they have deep spirituality, which gives them an orientation of what they should be doing. And therefore, this is also something that you can work on in your life, developing your spiritual quotient. And how do you develop your spiritual quotient? By connecting with spiritual people, by having spiritual discussions, by exploring spiritual wisdom, by going to spiritual places, by practicing spiritual processes, by immersing yourself in the wealth of spirituality that is out there in the world, you can develop your own spiritual quotient, and that empowers you in your emotional balance and in your intelligence. And therefore, you find the most successful people in the world also have a very, very deep spirituality. And so that's something that you can also think about. I'm going to go a little quicker, and then I'm just going to open it up for you. Successful people realize they have far to go. They realize that where I am and where I want to be, there's a gap there. And they have that humility to know that there's still a distance I have to go. So I shouldn't be complacent. I shouldn't be proud. I shouldn't feel like I've done it and I've achieved it. There's still so much more to achieve in this world. That's how successful people think. But along with this mentality, how do you think highly successful people think? Amazing. Thank you. And I'm grateful you're allowing me to go faster. Yes, I have come so far already. Sometimes we always see how far we are from the ideal. And in seeing how far we are from the ideal, sometimes it can bring about a dejection, a disappointment. Sometimes it can even bring about a depression. But when we also take the time to congratulate ourselves and say, but I've come so far already. I have achieved things. I have changed in many ways. And I have demonstrated in my life that if I put my mind to something, something can happen. And when we empower ourselves with that kind of hope, then what happens is when we look forward to where we're trying to go, we walk forward as an empowered person. But sometimes we are our own worst enemies because we disempower ourselves by constantly meditating on why and how we're so far from what we can and should be. And while that's good, when we temper it with this other mentality of being kind to ourselves, then we become highly successful. Successful people see that the glass is half full, right? Optimists, they see the opportunity, what has come, what has gone right. How do you think highly successful people think? Okay, yes. Let's see, you could be on a roll here.
I fill up the whole.
Okay, they see how to fill up the whole glass. There's something even more than that. Any ideas? Yes, go on, go.
It's still too advanced, but the full part and the empty part are actually equal in the highest sense. It's
And what is that highest sense in which they're equal?
And the yang of the universe. You need the empty, you need the space in order to have matter. And space requires that, matter requires, they're working in conjunction.
Good point. Okay, yeah.
It's that to do full, it's half can and half what?
That deserves a round of applause. Yes, you give a round of applause. Very good. Yes. Actually, that the glass is completely full. It's just that half of it is water and half of it is air. In our life, we tend to think the blessings are just the good things, the prosperity, the beautiful things that have happened, everything that has transpired according to our plans. And everything that's difficult, everything that's adversity, everything that's transpired in a different way is the empty part of our life. But what we don't realize is that all of those twists and turns which we didn't expect are as valuable, if not more valuable, than all the things we naturally have gratitude for. And therefore, this is a quality of a highly successful person, to see that every failure, every difficulty, every obstacle, every uncomfortable situation is an opportunity to gain something that prosperity and everything going to plan wouldn't give you. And so it's about learning to embrace whatever comes in life and see that everything has value. There was a person who went for an interview to Google, and he got rejected. And when he got home that day, he put a message on Twitter. And he said, I went to Google for an interview, met some great people, but got rejected. Would you put that on Twitter? I don't know. He did. Some months later, he went for an interview with Twitter. He came back home that day, said, I went for an interview with Twitter, met some great people, I got rejected. Later on, that individual went on to create his own invention, and he sold it to Facebook for $19 billion. That was the founder of WhatsApp. Can we learn the art of how to take a letdown in this world in style? If you understand how to deal with so-called failure, then you are able to empower yourself in a different type of success. But the problem in the world today is that people are just become deflated too quickly by adversity instead of allowing it to help them to grow. And therefore, don't just see that the glass is half full, see that the glass is completely full. And those things that you think you'd rather not have in your life are actually there for a purpose. And then the final quality I'll share with you is that successful people want to change the world. They want to make a contribution. They want to do something to make this world more beautiful. We look at the world, there's so many problems, economic problems, environmental problems, so many difficulties. Successful people have this broad-mindedness by which they think, what am I going to do to go out there and make the world a better place? But in addition to this, what do you think highly successful people do? Yes.
Make a change for the worst.
Make a change for the world? What do you mean by that?
They want to give something to the society rather than to change in the society.
Oh, okay. Make a change. Give something to society instead of changing society. Okay, yeah?
Be the change.
Be the change you want to see in the world. They start by changing themselves. The global revolution begins with the personal resolution. And so there was one famous Christian, I think it was the Archbishop in the UK, and he said, I wanted to change the world, and then I realized I couldn't, so I thought, let me change my country. I realized that was too difficult, so I thought, let me change my family. He said they weren't going to change, so I thought, let me at least change my wife. He said, that didn't work either. And then he said, in my old age, I realized that maybe if I had changed myself, then maybe those around me would have changed. And maybe with their help, I could have changed society, the country, and maybe even the world. And therefore, we point around and we look at the world, and it's easy to see everything that's wrong. But first, let's become right ourselves. Invest in yourself, empower yourself. You are your best contribution to the world. and know that you can't take the world to a higher place than what you've reached internally yourself. And therefore, the most successful people in the world want to make a change to the world, but they realize unless I become what I'm meant to be, I can't do anything for others. And therefore, they spend time working on themselves. So here today, I tried to share with you some of the qualities of highly successful people. Just to recap, just to see if you remembered. If successful people think, I wish I had more time, highly successful people think, there's never going to be enough time, therefore I have to have enough drive. If highly successful people have a to-be list, what do the successful people only have? Okay, there I go. I saved it. Saved the day. If successful people find role models and follow them, what do highly successful people also do? Find themselves. Yes, I know this is a bit elementary grade school stuff, but just be with me a little bit, please. If successful people go from IQ to EQ, highly successful people go to SQ. If successful people think, I have so far to go, highly successful people remember, they've come so far already. If successful people see that the glass is half full, highly successful see the glass is completely full. And I won't ask the seventh one because it's on the screen. Thank you so much. These were just some thoughts I wanted to share with you. They're very, very general. But I think all of you are very, very intelligent. You can all go away and maybe think about these things and see how they relate to your life and see how they may help you and empower you. I'm sure all of you have incredible things you're meant to do in your life. And taking some time out to orient yourself and upgrade your inner world will help you to achieve your full potential. Thank you very much for your attention. So I guess it's 6:10. So I guess we have like 10, 15 minutes. We're not going to completely annihilate your whole evening by making you sit here, but perhaps you have some questions or you have some comments you'd like to maybe delve a little deeper into any of the points that I've shared, then we can do that. Okay, yes, sure. Go for it. Yeah.
How to find the purpose of life?
How to find, oh my God, we'll start with the small questions. How to find the purpose of life? Well, the first thing is I would say in the Christian tradition, they say, seek and thee shall find. So the first thing is you have to be desirous to understand the purpose of life. And when you're desirous to understand the purpose of life, then that will mean a few things. Number one, you'll make the time to explore. Number two, you'll be willing to embrace the uncertainty and risk that's required for you to find the answers. And number three, you'll embody the humility to be open to learning from others and not super important if you want to find the purpose of life. You have to be desirous. And that means number one, make time for it. Number two, be ready to risk for it. And number three, have the humility and open-heartedness to keep your eyes and ears open to actually receive that knowledge. And I think if you do these three things, and then you interface with all the amazing spiritual traditions and people that are out there, then you will be guided to understand what the ultimate purpose of life is, and then more specifically what your purpose in life is, because there's a universal purpose according to the ancient scriptures that is there for everyone. And there's also an individual purpose that you have for yourself within that bigger purpose that you have to find. And so I'll share one final quote with you. They say, we become average when we're too busy, too comfortable, or too proud to keep growing. So never become too busy, never become too comfortable, and never become too proud. Therefore I said, make time, take risks, and be humble. And in that mindset, you can find the purpose of life. Why not? Is that okay? Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions? Anything you'd like to ask us?
How to take uncertainties that are going to become in our life, and how to be stable by constant changes that are coming in our life, and how to take those changes within ourselves and be silent within, be calm and peaceful, and means everywhere else there are some changes happening. Like in my life, let's say tomorrow there's a new change came into my life. I have lost my limb or something like that, some new change.
So how do you remain steady in the changes of this world? Yes,
so
changes.
How to prepare ourselves for changes that are, because in this life is not what we write, basically. It's what I've already written.
Yes, I got your point. Thank you so much. It's a great question. How do we remain steady amongst the constant change of this world? First, we have to ask us, why is the world changing? Why do things never seem to last? It's amazing how with time, everything changes in our life. Our body changes, our capacities change, our relationships change, people come into our life and then they disappear, our location changes, our fortunes change, our titles, our position in this world changes, our health changes, everything changes in the world. And then you think, why does everything change when I just want to not experience that change? The ancient teachers explain that the reason everything changes in the world, the reason that everything is transitory in the world, the reason why everything never seems to last is because it's nature's way of reminding us that this is not who we are. Nature and the world around us will systematically remove everything that is superficial to who we really are. And therefore our body disappears, our relationships disappear, our abilities disappear, to help us realize that's not who we are. The ancient scriptures tell us that we are actually spiritual beings and we have a spiritual relationship with the Supreme Spirit. And when we're grounded in that understanding, when we're anchored in our spiritual identity, then the constant change of this world won't affect us anymore, because deep inside of us we'll know, I'm a spiritual being, I have a connection with the Supreme Spirit, and in that constant change of the world, that eternal anchor means that you don't become displaced or you don't become dejected by all the changes that go along. But when you have no eternal perspective, when you have no eternal connection, when you have no eternal relationship with the divine, then you're just in this world and you're just being thrown around by different situations, and it's very, very displacing. And therefore, the only way you can deal with the constant change of this world is to find the eternal anchor of your spirituality. And that's why it's so important. Otherwise, we'll constantly be in fear. The basic emotion of most people in this world is that they're fearful. When they're happy, they're fearful it will end. When they're unhappy, they're fearful it will never end. We're fearful about the past, we're fearful about the future, we're fearful about our relationships, we're fearful about our future, we're fearful about our career. So like this. But once you are eternally connected in spiritual, there's no fear. Anyway, more could be said on that, but I'll stop there. Hope that helps.
But how to get ourselves such...
how to make that connection?
How to if we know that everything is going to be changed, so how to motivate ourselves to change?
Well, remember the last teaching we had, or the sixth teaching we have, that see that all those things which are changing, all those things which are beyond my control, and are transforming in a certain way, it's all happening for a reason. See, the basic problem in the world is because people don't understand that the world is purposeful and that there is a higher spiritual intelligence behind everything that happens here. Because people are unaware of that, life just seems random, and then they feel themselves to be victims. But when you understand that everything in this world is transpiring under a higher intelligence who's your best friend, then when things happen, and even when you don't understand them and they're difficult, by your spiritual connection you can understand it's happening for a reason. And therefore there's some great gift I need to learn from this. Although I can't understand right now what it is, you have that hope and that faith that keeps you moving forward. And in time, you realize. There was a baby who was once sitting on the floor and her grandmother was knitting. Of course, it's a lost art now. But she was looking at her grandmother knitting, and obviously she was seeing everything from the bottom. So she saw her grandmother knitting for hours, and she just saw like it's a big mess. Like, what have you been doing all this time? It's just a big mess. And then at one point her grandmother lifted her up, and then she saw the whole thing from the top, and she said, oh wow, it's an amazing design. So our life is like that. Sometimes we look at divinity, providence, God, and we're like, what kind of arrangement is this? Like, this is a mess. Like, maybe someone should help you in your job. Like, the world, my life is a mess. But then at one point what happens is we're lifted up and we see it's all purposeful. You see? You have to live life going forwards. But sometimes you can only join the dots looking backwards. So you have to move forward, and over time you'll see that everything happens for a reason. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for everything. It was really well presented. And I want to ask you a basic question about our society. So I look around here in Canada or the United States, where I've spent many years, and I see most people, 99%, are not self-aware. They don't have what you have. They don't have that understanding of the universe, that non-dualistic way of thinking. So what do you think we can do as a society, I guess, to start working towards that sort of a trajectory? Because we are so materialistic, and we think that we have the world figured out, yet it's like completely the opposite from the truth. So how do we become more like India? More like ancient India, actually. And is there some philosopher or some school of thought that really influenced you, that could influence the younger generation and make it easy? Because I know, I've studied Advaita a lot, and it's very difficult to, start. It's very difficult to start. You have to have a very clear mind, and you have to attack it for many years. So I'm wondering, what do you think? Who would you recommend for the younger generations to?
Oh, thank you so much. Very nice question. I think one of the biggest problems is that people have always traditionally seen religion as something for the afterlife. You do it when you're old. You do it when you've done everything else you need to do in life. You do it when you're getting close to death. Because that's when religion is really important, because you're going to die and then you need to make sure you go to a better place. And I think that's the way in which most people have interfaced with religion. But what they haven't been able to understand is that spiritual teachings are actually the most empowering teachings to navigate yourself in the here life. And I think it's the challenge of spiritual people to show how by practicing these teachings, you can excel on every level in the most wholesome way. You can excel in your academic, your professional career, you can excel in your physical and emotional health, and ultimately you can excel in your spiritual awakening and happiness. In other words, spiritual knowledge is like a one-stop shop. It can help you in all facets of life. I'm going to avoid sounding like I'm doing a promo here, but I'll do it anyway. We've written this book called Gita 3, and what I tried to do in this book is there's 18 chapters in the Bhagavad-gita. So what I tried to show in this book is how in every single chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is empowering you to do the things that you need to do every day. So for example, the first chapter is how to be determined. The second chapter is how to make good decisions. The third chapter is how to balance all your duties. Then there's a chapter on how to find love, how to avoid burnout, how to find your purpose. And in this way, when you read books like the Bhagavad-gita, you're looking at it and you're thinking like, oh my God, this is like the ultimate spiritual self-development. And so I think the more that we're able to present spirituality in a relevant way, one thing is we can just go look out there in the world and say like everyone's out of it, no one's into spirituality, like it's just a terrible world out there. But I think we have to take the onus and say we haven't presented it to the world in the most inspiring way. And therefore we have to take the responsibility to study it, to live it, to deeply understand the hearts and minds of the people out there, and then become equipped to communicate it so that it will touch their heart and they'll feel naturally inspired to take it up. And I think that's the challenge ahead of us. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
How to imbibe Krishna consciousness into our mind, body and soul every moment of our lives.
So how to imbibe Krishna consciousness, or even for those who are not part of the Krishna tradition, spiritual consciousness, God consciousness in every moment of our life. I think we already know how to do it, because maybe, just maybe, some of you in the room have been in love. And have you noticed, like when you're in love with someone, it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, how much you're distanced by time and place, somehow or other you keep thinking of that person. It's not like, okay, now I have to make sure I think about them. It's kind of quite automatic. Because where there is attraction, there is attention. If you want to be conscious of God, if you want to be conscious of divinity, you have to become attracted to divinity. You have to understand, who is that God? What do they do? What's their character? Why are they so amazing? How are they acting in my life? What have they done to help me be the best I can? When you develop that relationship because you understand God is a person that you can have a relationship with, then what will happen is it will become automatic to remember that person. Everything will remind you of that person. Just like, say you go to a community event, when you drive into the car park, you see cars, right? And then you're immediately like, oh, that person's here, because you see the car and you remember that person, right? So you're like, oh, that person's here, that person's here. Because the car reminds you of the person. So when you have that relationship with the divine, you'll look out at the world and everything will remind you of the divine. Because you'll understand that the divine is behind everything. When things happen to you in your life, you'll see the hand of divinity. When arrangements are being made, sometimes according to your plan, sometimes not, you'll be able to understand, yes, divinity is active. And in that way, it will become very, very natural to think about God at all times. Thank you. Okay, is there a final question? Okay, one final question.
Can you speak a little bit more about what's considered wasting time? Because for somebody, it could just be, okay, they could say, you don't have a 5 to 9 grind after your 9 to 5, you're wasting time, right? Or especially like in the North American context or India, that's also an up-and-coming country. So people think if you're not doing like 10 million things at once, you're wasting time. But let's say in a more sort of laid-back culture like Europe, where you're like just sitting and existing and just being, as a human, they don't think they're wasting time. So what is, not like from like a capitalistic perspective, but what's spirituality's viewpoint on wasting time? Because in reality, are you ever wasting time? Like if you're learning something by just like sitting on a bench and observing something,
Is that
about the
wasting
world,
time?
Is that wasting time?
Yeah, good point. Very thoughtful question, thank you. Yeah, when I say don't waste time, it doesn't mean like every second of your day should be involved in activity and you should make sure, that you're doing something and it's achieving something. When I say don't waste time, what it means is that every part of your life should be purposeful. And for your life, you also need some time which is spare. Did you know, like according to Ayurveda, this is the kind of science of health. They say your stomach should be half full with solids, then your stomach should be a quarter full with fluid, and then your stomach should be a quarter full with sweets. No, I'm joking. Your stomach the final quarter should be air. Because without that air, the fire of digestion can't take place. I'm sure many of us experienced what a full stomach feels like. And in one word, it's a knockout. Right? You can't really do much. Right? It's debilitating. So in your life, there needs to be air. There needs to be some space. Right? For example, you need time to sleep. Someone may say like, I shouldn't waste time, therefore I'm only going to sleep 1 hour a day. Like, that will become counterproductive. They say if you sleep too much, you become lazy. If you sleep too little, you become crazy. Right? So you need to so everything in the right measurement. So you also need some time to think about life, to reflect, to introspect, to recharge. But then use that downtime to do that kind of regeneration. But if you use that downtime just to scroll, or you use that downtime just to, watch a useless program, then although you may feel that that's bringing you some recreational benefit, actually what it's doing is it's dulling your capacity. And therefore there's a way to relax in which you don't become dulled. Nowadays people mistake relaxing, and actually what's happening is they're becoming dulled down. So the art of life is to, yes, have spare time, but even in that spare time is meant for regeneration. So do it in a regenerative way and utilize the spare time that you have so that when you do come back into the world, you come with more energy, more focus, more replenishment, and more capacity to do something amazing. So sometimes you also need to pull back from life. Like when an archer shoots an arrow, what's the first movement the archer has? It goes back. You think like, come on man, you're trying to hit the target, why are you taking the arrow back? No, but if you go back, then you can generate more power, you can generate more aim, and you can release at the opportune moment to hit the target. So similarly, you need to step back from life, but use that time purposefully. Someone sent me a message once, get off Facebook and get your face into a book. Okay. So yes, and Facebook is okay in moderation. Thank you so much for your attention, for your kindness. I hope some of this was useful to you, and hope to connect more with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Keshava Swami. We appreciate all of your wisdom and your time with us today. Just a couple of announcements before we wrap it up. Thank you so much. So many of you were here for the first time at Bhakti Yoga Club, and we're so happy that you could join us this evening. I'm just going to ask Abhinav, Pranshu, and Sumina just to raise your hands higher. Okay, so these are some of the organizers. Memorize their faces. If you are interested in learning more about BYC and the events that will be held either at U of T or any of the campuses in Toronto or anywhere in Canada, feel free to catch them this evening and they can let you know how to follow BYC on Instagram or get on an email distribution. And then tomorrow we are so fortunate that Keshava Swami will be speaking again, this time at TMU, on the power of manifestation, and that starts at 6 p.m. Yes, 6 p.m. So again, Pranshu, Sumina, or Abhinav can give you some more information if you're not already following them on Instagram or BYC on Instagram. We have some books at the back, some of these books that were showcased up here. They are written by Keshava Swami, so if you're interested, they're on the table at the back and you can catch Abhinav before you leave. They are accepting cash or credit. And I think that's about it. We'll wrap up the evening with a vegetarian dinner. They're just setting up in the back, so give the organizers just a minute and we'll have some delicious dinner for you. Yes?
Yeah, so about the book, why the name is Gita 3?
Oh, okay, yes. So why is the book called Gita 3? So basically the Bhagavad-gita has 18 chapters. So what I've tried to do in this book is I've tried to go through the 18 chapters 3 times. So you go through the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad-gita 3 times. And in each time we look at the Bhagavad-gita from a different angle and we show the first section is all about how the Bhagavad-gita teaches you to think different. The second section is all about how the Bhagavad-gita teaches you how to do different things in your life. And the third section is all about how the Bhagavad-gita annihilates every excuse that someone could come up with why spirituality is not for them. And so I just look at the Gita through 3 different lenses. And this one's called Tattva 2. Tattva means truth, but basically what this book is it's just a series of articles and experiences and questions and answers that people often ask about spirituality, just kind of combined into one book. So.
Thank you. Just one small but very important thing. Just to wrap it up, thank you so much, Keshava Swami, for your time here today. As mentioned, this is his first time visiting us here in Canada in the capacity of a monk. I think you've been to Canada once before, I heard. We hope this is the first of many visits to U of T. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.